He said, I baptize you with water, but there's one coming after me that will baptize you with fire. Why fire? Because nothing remains in its present form when fire touches it. If you have made a promise that you don't keep, what are you? You are a liar.
Father, forgive them when they start exploiting their friends. Father, forgive them for backdoing their mans. Father, forgive them. I'ma just pray they repent. Hope that no favor ain't fair. I'm the reason they stopping.
God said, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive your sins and heal your land. So don't look to them, look to God, look to yourself, break your covenant with hell and death, then make a covenant with Black America and let's help it.
Why are they acting the way they're acting? Why do you?
I mean, I think because we dropped the ball somewhere, and I think it started with the crack epidemic when guys start really making that fast money and giving it away. Like one thing about fast money, you don't respect it, and you're gonna spend it for pleasure. So you got this pretty woman over here. Dude just made $300,000 this week. He's uneducated, hood, ghetto, don't really have no type of boundaries, know what to do with this money. What he gonna do with it? He gonna trick it off. I'm gonna buy her stuff. So now I can feel like I'm the man because she's gonna praise me because I'm financing her. Now I got like 3 or 4 of them that look just like her. And guess what? The dudes next to me looking at me like, Joey, damn, Joey got like 4 of them. Man, how'd he get them? They don't know, but he know. I broke them all off something. And then they like, because money it does feel good to have money. It does feel good to be able to go buy nice things and have a nice, beautiful car that people looking at and because people praise you off of certain things. They do. So I get it. And I just think it's a lack of integrity because nobody has taught these people how to value themselves and how to and what morals are. Like, what are the things that you won't do? Like, when you sell yourself for money, there's nothing you won't do. Because if you will sell yourself for money, that means you might kill somebody. You definitely gonna steal from somebody. You definitely gonna rob from somebody. But it's no limits to the boundaries when you start talking about money. And then when women start saying, well, I need to be protected and security, I gotta get, but you didn't have to give yourself to this man. You chose to. Because truth be told, these same dumb Negroes that's throwing this money out will give it to a woman free without giving him nothing. And he will respect her even more because she didn't bow down to the almighty dollar.
Interesting, man. I think the Black woman is the most mistreated person on the planet Earth.
I do.
So I don't think we should say, I'm not saying you are,
No.
but we shouldn't say anything. We should only say things to help Black women. Because they act that way because they're dominated, back to being dominated and mistreated. You said the drugs. Where them drugs come from? Who put them drugs in the neighborhood? Where the money come from?
Mm-hmm.
Where all that stuff come from? So it didn't come from us. We didn't create those drugs. We didn't do any of that stuff. So they are the ones that are being mistreated. And this is the reaction. All this stuff, everything that we do as a people is, we're talking about Black women.
Right.
It's a reaction to racism.
I agree.
Every time you bring something up, all you gotta do is say why or how. Mm-hmm. Just do that a couple times. Mm-hmm. It's gonna go back to people being mistreated.
And that's what passing the torch is all about. This is not a show to demean women or put them down or to uplift men, so to speak. It's an educational show.
Yes.
It's where I'm well aware of what happened. I'm well aware of why the drugs was put in the neighborhood, why the guns was dropped off. They talked about that in documentaries, how guns were found in trains in New York City and LA. unattended automatic weapons. Who put those there, bro? We knew how the drugs come, and they knew what we were going to do with them. We're going to destroy our community. And how you destroy your community? Money, guns, and drugs. Yep. And they all fit together. When the man and the woman come together, it's going to be distorted because this person high, this person is uneducated, this person is violent, this person is doing things that's going to cause possibly, the termination of the family structure because he's out in the street with guns and violence and drugs. Like, we know where it comes from. That's facts. And it's just, like I said, this show is made up to pass the torch because when you know better, you can do better.
Yeah.
And some people, this might be the first time they ever heard that. Like, I don't have to be no hoe. I don't have to use my body to live and to be secure. I can use my own brain. There are people's other women organizations, if you don't trust a man, that can help you become. You just got to want it. It took me, like you said, you knew I was a wild boy in college. You know how many hours and days and years it took me to change my life? Like, to get all that dirty, nasty, stupid stuff out of my brain of how I was living. It took hours of reading. It took podcasts that I was listening to, church services, Bible sessions, Bible studies. It took a lot. You just don't change overnight. It took me listening to somebody older than me, wiser than me, and saying, shut up. Trib, you don't know it all, bro. Shut up. You got them life skills. You got them survivor skills. So, and I was sharing this with somebody a couple weeks ago, that when you're changing for the better, it feels fake. You feel fake. And one thing about somebody that has done street stuff, you don't want to ever feel fake.
That's because our culture is built off of just destruction. So when you're trying to depart from the culture, you almost feel like you're alone. Like, is this the way I should be acting? Am I acting what they call white?
Yes.
Which is usually acting the correct. When someone's doing something the correct manner, they call it white.
They call it white, right?
So yeah, I can understand that.
And that's, I mean, even with sex.
Yeah.
You don't want to have sex because I want to honor this woman.
Yeah.
I told my ex this when I first, later on in our relationship, I said, you ever wonder why I never tried to have sex with you, like, early on? And we had conversations about it. And I said, because if I would have had sex with you the first week that I met you, you wouldn't be here.
You on the next?
I'll be on to the next because I would have never respected you. Yeah. And even if you might not have cared, I cared because I wanted to like you. And I knew if I smashed you the first couple days, first couple weeks, like, you don't even know me and you laying down giving me your most precious asset, I wouldn't respect that. I couldn't. And I would have kept it moving. So I purposely didn't try. And I think I was looked at like, oh, he's not fit. Like, she thought I wasn't.
The grain. You go
right.
against the grain.
She thought I wasn't affectionate. You wasn't this and that. And I'm like, that's.
They might accuse you being gay or something too.
And that might have been a thought too, because I think she did ask me that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You live in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what it is. And I ain't mad at the question because I think at this point in time you might have to ask. But I get it, man. But like I said, I'm glad you made that point because I'm not here. I love women too, bro. I love women. I'm not nowhere near gonna ever bash my black queens, but this is an educational show that I'm not here to bash. I'm here to educate, like what you can have. And if you really seeking, like Kevin Samuels was my guy. Did I like his delivery? Absolutely not. But I understood the delivery. I don't understand him calling girls bitches and all that shit. He went way too far to the left. I also don't agree with him when he's saying because you're a high value man, a woman should have to put up with you being promiscuous. I didn't like those things. But a lot of the things he talked about women when they're young, giving away their power, then they don't want the good guy during them times, but then they want the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? The guy that don't mean them no good. And then once they then got pregnated 2 and 3 times, had a couple of babies, then gained a few pounds, now you want the good guy. And he's like, the good guy that's making 6-7 figures, he don't want you.
I thought Kevin Samuels was... I didn't agree with much what he said. and I'll tell you why. Yeah. Because I felt like if he was a doctor, he was focusing on symptoms and not the problem.
Right.
Everything he talked about a black woman was symptoms of that black woman being mistreated. He never talked about problem of that woman being mistreated. and she needs to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
We always talked about symptoms. So anybody could talk about the symptoms when a
Right.
person's sick.
Right.
Black people are completely sick. Our culture is completely sick. It's hard. If I were to ask you to name, give me 3 positive things that solve problems in a black culture, could you even do that?
3 things that solve problems.
In our culture, these are
In
things
our
that
culture.
black people do every day.
I know. I can name one.
What's that?
Coming to Christ.
What
Coming to
problem?
Christ,
Okay,
money.
what problem is that solving?
It's a understanding who you are, because we're not flesh and blood. We're a spirit. So coming to Christ, I think when you start to understand who you are, whose you are, it helps you become. It just set boundaries. It stops the things that you won't do based on who you know you are now in Christ.
But what I'm asking is, what problems are they solving now?
But it's self-destruction. Like self-destruction, I believe that's a self-destruction problem. When I found Christ, it helped me stop self-destruction because I was self-destruction. Because I have no morals. I would do whatever. I was a heathen.
Okay. What problems and those areas of activities that we talked about?
Mhm.
We talk about those areas of activities are important because those are the things we're doing every day, no matter what.
Mhm.
Right now, it could be education,
Mhm.
it could be politics. We got 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what problems are we solving in those areas of activity? To be specific,
We're not.
okay. So this is what I'm saying. Our black culture is polluted, the whole entire thing, and it needs to be improved. So Kevin Samuels is talking about our culture. He's not talking about the problems. He's not talking about what's causing those problems. And those problems are caused by us being treated. Now, after we figure that out, then we say, okay, now how are we going to fix this? Where do we start at? Instead of making fun, not saying you were, I'm talking about Kevin Samuels. You're making fun of the black woman and saying this and that. There are no high value black men.
Calling them fat.
There are no high value black men unless they're being sold somewhere. There are no high value black men because what's valuable about us? Our money? Take a look at the money. Who's on the money? That money could be taken. Just ask Kanye how fast he's become a billionaire to a millionaire. We don't control money. And we don't control jobs,
Right.
And we don't control any businesses that we actually own and control. We're always buying something from somebody else and selling it for a higher value. So, if we don't own anything in our culture has been decimated, let's focus on improving the culture instead of focusing on those black women.
I'm glad you said that because I like to think of myself as a solution-based person. I don't like to sit around and talk about the problem over and over and over and over. Matter of fact, in this very building, I had an organization called the Village 50.
I remember that
12 years ago.
That inspired me to try to create my own business.
I appreciate that. And that was the whole chemical makeup was to help change the social fabric of this neighborhood. And our first town hall meeting, well, our only town hall meetings were held in this building. And I remember the first meeting. I said, listen, we're going to ask about the problem. After this, every time we meet, it's a solution to those problems that you said you had. We're going to be meeting solutions because I chose the guys to be a part of Village 50 based on the resources that they had. So each one of you, with 50 of us in here, entrepreneurial men, that most of them was from this city that have resources, every issue, every problem that was in this community, we should have been able to solve it. And we were. And that's a whole nother story. United Way got involved. It's a whole nother story that caused my pilgrimage to go to Atlanta. But I said that to say I'm always been a solution based. I'm going to talk. I don't sit and brown bash nobody, man or woman. I'm going to give you information. But what happens is when you start talking about solutions to a sick person, it's almost like a person on heroin. And they say you just can't kick heroin. You go through withdrawals. So, and that withdrawal is, oh, you think you perfect, you think you this, you think like, I'm not saying nothing about me. I'm telling you I was that dirty, nasty, filthy animal. But I came up out of it. I mean, that's what it's called what it is, Joey. You know I was mischievous. I was lying, manipulating.
You were out there, man.
All for the mighty PUS. You know what I'm saying? Like, Like, that's why it doesn't hold that much value with me now, because you can't woo me with that. If I love you, you my woman, of course, I want that. Of course, I'm a sexual being. But outside of that, that doesn't really move me, man. You can't dangle that in front of me and I'm gonna pay your bills or give you this and that. I'm not, like, sex is supposed to be a mutual exchange. First of all, you want to have sex, I want to have sex. We gonna have, not because you need a bill paid. No, I'm not. That's not even, that turns me totally off anyway. Like, I don't even understand, because at that point I know you're sick. Something's wrong. So now my job as a man is to give direction, to offer my support if you want it. But most people don't want it. So when you don't want it, it feels like somebody's forcing something on you. Now you get rebellious. Now you get angry. Now you start to dislike this person. And I'm like, that's not what I'm about. I'm about giving information. If you want it, that's why it's good to deal with younger people. And that's what, like I said, Kevin had some good points. His delivery was awful, but he had good points, because that's why you deal with younger women. They're more pliable.
Well,
The minds to listen, like a father teaching his daughter. It's easier to teach my daughter things when she was 10 than she's 27 now. Like, she like, because she had a lot of life experience. So what daddy talking about, I might have my own opinion about now, opposed to when she was 18, 17, she's more so to listen to my dad.
But I still with Kevin Samuels. His delivery, I didn't see a lot that I agree with. But back to the women.
Right.
When you said she didn't want that, what now that I'm older and I realize how to handle women a little differently, what I would have asked her, not saying you didn't do this, I'm just giving my example. Yeah. I would have asked her, okay, well, what do you want? Why do you want that? How do you want that? When do you want that? And what's going to be the constructive outcome when you get that? And if it's constructive, then you give it to her.
Right.
And if it's not constructive, you say, hey, why you want me to do something that's not constructive? Let's focus on doing things that's constructive. That's how you get her to go in a constructive pattern. But a lot of us aspiring people that want to be men, like I am, we don't know how to even communicate. We argue to win. Not saying you were doing that, but we don't communicate.
I was.
We don't ask questions and get answers. Right. And ask more questions to get more answers. Right. More questions, more answers. Then ask that person, okay, well, why do you want that? How do you want that? And what is going to be the constructive outcome after I give that to you? And if it's constructive, then let's rock and roll. Let's do it. And if not, I don't want to be a part of it. Yeah. See, that comes with us trying to develop a code. And I think our culture, the manhood, there needs to be a code. Like, what is a code? You know what codes are. When you're doing a building, when you're putting in the electricity, there's things you gotta do the exact same way every time. Why? Because it's guaranteed not to fail. Right. And that's what we need. Right. We need a way that we can achieve certain things, and we can guarantee we won't fail. And we need to teach that to our children. We need to develop a code of action on how to respond to every single situation. We gotta totally rebuild this culture. Because we can keep making fun, like Kevin Samuels making fun of our black women, but they held us down. They are the black family. They're the ones who raised us. They're the one who nurtures us. Think about why does the black woman have to be so aggressive? Because they have to be the father. Okay, we talk about black women giving up their bodies at an early age. Where's the father at? We talk about a black woman asking for money. It's the father's responsibility to take care of that woman until she gets married. That's the way I feel about my daughter. I want to keep taking care of her.
And I agree.
Right? So it's really about focusing on rebuilding our culture. And improving it. Just improving it step by step to the best that we can do.
And that's about people being honest, bro, being transparent.
But people don't like to be honest because when you talk about racism, it makes people uncomfortable.
It makes them uncomfortable.
You get embarrassed. You're uncomfortable.
But guess what? Transparency, the Bible talks about being overcomers by the power of our testimonies. All of us have a testimony. Right, wrong, and different. They're embarrassing. Like, I've had men tell me they were raped by another man, by an uncle.
That is common. That is common in our community.
And then I had other men that got upset. Why did he expose that? He shouldn't have told her. I didn't want to know that. Like, dude, that's his truth. He's trying to be vulnerable. Like, dude, that's probably something he struggled with for
Yes.
15 years
Yep.
that he couldn't say because he's scared people gonna judge him. Condemn him, not judge, condemn him like he's gay now because that happened to him or whatever. So transparency is important, and that's what people are scared to be. Like I don't care about disclosing those hard things that's happened in my life.
That's because it's the truth.
Me womanize it. The truth is the only thing that will set you free, and it has to be. So if you really want to hold on to that woman or to that man, be honest.
Yes.
And then because it can stop a lot of stuff. Sometimes people be like, "Oh, I can't handle that. That's what happened," and I'm out. And then they get away and be like, "You know what? I miss this person. I'm gonna take her back no matter what because that was just my own selfish pride." Looking down at them, that could have happened to my mom, my sister, me. Let me go back. But society has conditioned us. I have a brother that be like, "Oh no, she slept with a couple of different, oh man, she's a hoe, she did." I'm like, "No, hold on, bro. Like, what about your past, my G? That's hypocritical. You can't do that. Like, I don't care if you think men was designed to have multiple women. That's in the biblical days and some of these Muslim faiths, whatever, that's cool. But modern day man, brother ain't designed for more than one chick. He can't handle one. He ain't designed for more than one. Stop it.
You ain't need.
You know what I'm saying? You can't handle that
enough.
one you got. Talking about
enough.
you supposed to have multiple women. That's just some old selfish, stuff that you want to do because you freaky, dog. You want to be out here doing your thing. And if that girl you with want to have multiple women with y'all, that's a whole nother topic. But as far as honoring and supporting, it has to be some honesty, man.
Yeah.
I had to find out a lot of things about my ex on my own just because I didn't trust her and because of things that she did. And I stayed with her after. And she could have just told me that from the beginning. We could have worked through it smoother, and I could have been the man I was supposed to be instead of having to fight through all this stuff, trying to find out who you are. I kept asking, like, who are you? Who are you? I don't know you. Like, I see this. I hear what you're saying, but I see this. I'm not stupid. I got intuition. I know. And I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? You can't run game recognized game. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to blast you out. Sometimes I just sat on it and just let her think she was doing something. And then I come back, sit on the table because I'm like, I can't condemn, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm really, what's the word for it? I'm very passionate about what I believe. Even with my love for somebody, I'm passionate about it. And I'm going to fight you to let you know, listen, I'm not judging you like that. I'm not condemning you.
Mm-hmm.
I have to judge the lifestyle because this is not compatible with my life, what I'm trying to live. And I don't care if it was the past, but if you want to continue to live that, no, we can't coexist. But if you want to stop and say, "Listen, baby, I'm done with that. It was a past. None of that served me good. I want to change. I want to be different. Can you hold my hand through this process?" Absolutely.
Got you. Yeah, I that honesty is key. What you said.
Absolutely.
That's why I was talking about when I was talking about dating. Mm-hmm. Now, if you would have dated her and you would have asked her all those questions, she'd have gave you all those answers. That wouldn't have been a problem at all.
Been a problem.
So we got to teach our kids, our youth, how to date. It ain't about being fly. It's about questions and about answers. Right. If you had her in a room like you have me in this room, no distractions, just you and her, and you were able to bounce off of each other and ask questions, you would have had no problem with that.
And the crazy thing is, Joey, I'm glad we're having this talk because, and it's another black man to another black man, and things that I learned growing up, I'm sure things you learn up. Because we're sick as a culture, we have to use wisdom as those that know better. Because one thing I did with my foster kids, my kids that was in my group, they had to go to school. I took them out of inner city school. I sent them out to suburban schools.
Where you had that big old mansion, yeah, I remember
But
he had a big old man. I ain't gonna get on that, but go ahead, man.
I took them. But I mean, speaking of the house, but I believe that's why God blessed me with that stuff. he knew I was gonna do the right thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get these kids out of the inner city because my group homes was in the inner city.
Okay.
So when I closed them down and those kids came to my house as foster kids, I sent them to the schools that was out by my neighborhood, which was on purpose. They wanted to stay at Scott and Libby and all the good popping schools for black, but it's like it's work at them schools. And when I mean work, I mean popularity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be fly. They got to have the new Jordans on. They got to have the jewelry. They got to be fly, which has nothing to do with the total makeup of your person.
Yeah.
The good thing that I liked about the parochial schools and the white schools that I had them going to is because those white people judged them off their character. They didn't care if Johnny came with new Jordans on every day. That didn't make him super cool.
Yeah.
What made him cool was how athletic he was, how funny he was, how he moved, and how impressive he was with the girls, or how athletic. It was other things outside of the material.
You went to a different culture.
Absolutely.
Now,
that culture was different.
Yes,
and that's why until we learn and start getting healed as a culture, we have to use witty invention. The Bible talks about God giving us witty inventions, witty ideas. You have to know what works. I'm not going to put my son, if I had a child today, I'm not putting him in somewhere where he's going to have, his values are being challenged based on his environment. What I'm teaching him, he goes here and gets the opposite. I don't want him to have to fight that at that age. Let him get through there. Let's get to college. And then you can go ahead. Then I'm going to send you to HBCU. Yeah. And then you see the black culture, because you're going to have black culture just being at home with me. I don't need you to go battle your black culture with my black culture in the environment that you in, because they don't have a daddy at home. Or they mama out here wilding. She got different men all the time, sneaking them in when they sleep. Whatever the case may be, I don't want that. I want a solid family structure, nucleus around my son, with a village around him or her saying the same thing I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? That's why the community started like that. When I was raised, bro, my community raised me, bro.
Same with mine too.
I get my ass whooped by Miss Lock up the street
Or
if I'm cussing or I'm doing something disrespectful. Like, no, she gonna get me. Miss Lock was gonna get me. God rest her peace. She will get me first, and then she gonna tell my mama, and then I'm gonna get it again at home. And my mom would be thanking her instead of trying. Now you do that, man. You don't touch my dog. You don't touch my son. They going on. Somebody getting shot. So people have backed off. But when we was coming, you'll get your tail toe up the street at Miss Johnson house. Absolutely. My babysitter beat my butt. It was an old lady, Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson.
So your teacher was allowed to paddle you back in it.
Dude, trust me, do I know? Because I got swatted almost weekly.
It was crazy. It was crazy back in the day, man.
I was getting it. So, man, Joey, it's been a pleasure, brother. You got good insight. You're a solid brother, man. You've always been a good dude. I've never known you really to wild out as far as my wilding out, but
I never did like y'all.
But you've always been a solid dude.
What happened to me was, no one knew that, but my sister died of AIDS. So that kind of changed the way I felt about sex and women, and I wouldn't do what I used to do. You know what I'm saying? After she passed from that, I kind of let me think about what I get into before I get into it. Right. I just didn't get into every opportunity that I had the opportunity to get into. I was more. I picked and choose my battles,
and it showed up. I mean, we knew you was. I knew you possibly had mom and dad at the crib. Somebody reared you right, because, like I said, I was envious of that. I mean, no one knew Mark's staff. I remember Mark, Spriggs, his mom and dad used to come up. Like, all of y'all had family. Y'all had mom and dad, bro. I didn't have that. I had a stepdad that I fought against, so I didn't get a chance to get that family dynamic just because of me. But I always looked up to guys that had that. So instead of like clutching on, I kind of tore down.
That kind of explains you then, man. Because you're always around raising these young men up to be I see just came full circle with me right there.
Yes, sir.
That kind of explains who you are then. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming out, Joe. Before we leave, I want Joey to talk about his product. This brother has got a few things that he's doing. He just blessed me with these for my lower back, which I appreciate. But Joey's been an entrepreneur for a minute now. He's doing things, and I don't want to mess it up trying to explain what he's doing. So I want him to talk about what he's got going on. First of all, talk about this, and then what else he's got going on. Give his TikTok information because he's got other things he's doing as well.
Okay, well, that right there, Rebel Naturals. We make healing products out of CBD, right? We sell a lot of them to chiropractors and things of that. So you can go to rebelbodycare.com and look that up, and you can buy anything from there. And we have some great products there. We have some back pain healing things that'll heal your back, heal your knees, any type of cramps or anything that you're having. Now, my business that I'm in now, everything's moving towards tech, right? Because tech solves problems, right? So I just came up with a new tech company. It's called Local Zine. And Local Zine, basically the problem that I'm solving is every dollar we spend at a national chain restaurant, up to 85% of that can leave our community. That creates deficit and that destroys our community. But every dollar you spend at a locally, independently owned restaurant, up to 85% of that money stays in our community. That's where Local Zine comes in. We make it easy and convenient to buy from locally owned restaurants. Think of us as a DoorDash, but we're all catering. We just deal with catering. And we deal with people like pharmaceutical sales reps, people like insurance agents, people who use food for their job. You got to think a pharmaceutical sales rep spends over $80,000 a year just buying food, doing lunch and learns. Now, what's a lunch and learn? A lunch and learn is where they call a whole doctor's office up. They want to talk to all the practitioners, and they buy them lunch to sell them the drugs. Those drugs that you get, your doctor's giving you, is because the pharmaceutical sales rep just bought them lunch, and now they turned them on to all those new drugs. So that's where we come in at. We have a customer platform. We work with all doctors' offices to where, because the doctors' offices, a lot of times they're sick and tired of these pharmaceutical sales reps coming in and out of their building. So they use our platform. Once the pharmaceutical sales rep go on our platform and they put the doctor's address in, they're going to see how many people are in the office, all their dietary needs. You know, you could text back and forth the office manager. You even know what they ate last time, right? And then from there, you can go on and pick from the locally owned restaurant right in that area. And then we have drivers in that area that'll bring it out to you and they'll set it up. And so that's being launched now. And we're launching that in Detroit. And it's going to be Q1 of next year when we launch it because we're building the app right now. I'm working with Detroit Tech Town, and they're helping me build the app. And so if you are in the tech background and you're looking to join a fresh startup like mine, please contact me. You can contact us at localzine.app. That's my website. You can go to. You can look at localzine.app and send me some information if you like. But and then I have a TikTok. It's called Improve the Damn Culture. Improve the Damn DAM culture. And it talks about improving Black culture, right? Because I believe, as me and Trib were talking about today, that Black culture is completely toxic. And we need to start today with improving it step by step. Not making fun of it, but improving it. And I come up with some solutions to improve it. I'm not perfect. I'm just trying to find out things that work, and I make those suggestions.
All right, Joey. That's a handful. That's a lot. He's doing a lot of things in the community. And it sounds like he's doing it nationwide. So those of you that are paying attention to this, pass this, subscribe, pass it, share. This is important. This is how we share the Black dollar, supporting one another. He's got products that I'm sure work. I'm out to try this for sure because my back.
You should have put it on before it definitely works. You'll be happy.
So I'm gonna be very happy and when that. So you might see me again on here probably every time I get on the show. Hey, get this, try this. But again, Joey, I appreciate you coming on, brother. This is a powerful session, and pass the torch, yo. Black men, those that know better, do better, man. Do better. Our young sisters need us. I know it's trying. I know it's hard. But part of the process of being a man is being ahead, bro. We got to take that. Take a licking and keep ticking. I love you. Thank you for coming out. God bless.
Proof of damn culture. Hey, man.